My girlfriend said she needed a break to find herself. 2 weeks later, she found herself in someone else's bed. Now, she's begging for my forgiveness, but am I just the backup plan? I am 21. We've been together for 4 years. At the beginning, like all teenagers do, we also fooled around. She was genuinely turned on and wanted to do stuff, but we never got to penetration. We were both virgin, and to her, virginity was always the best thing she can give me. It's the only thing she can give only to me in the whole life. And to be honest, that's why I didn't push for it at all and wanted to take her pace around to -2.5 years ago. Things started to cool down. She no longer wanted to do it as often, and a year ago she started pushing away, even though I would ask twice a month when I was sexually frustrated. I really loved her, and I still do. And I think she is smart, intelligent, and beautiful. And that's why that wasn't a deal breaker for me. 2 weeks after our 4-year mark, she said she felt trapped and that she wanted to take a little break from our relationship. I was crushed because I didn't see this coming at all. Her trap definition was that she felt bad going to concerts and doing stuff without inviting me. And to be honest, I always encouraged her to go with her girlfriends and have fun. I have a feeling she trapped herself. I think she just wanted to take a break and couldn't come up with a better reason, or the real reason was offending to me. Or she just lost attraction, although she denied it. We talked it through and we decided that we will take a break and she will call me once the break is over. She was supposed to move in with me in May. It took a toll on me. I performed badly at my work and I was distant from my family. I was crushed. And I hoped she would come back and that we would cry together, agree it was a mistake and move on. Well, after around 3 weeks, she messaged me and said she wanted to talk. I was so excited and I invited her to my house. When she arrived shortly after, she basically broke down crying, saying she met a guy 2 weeks ago and that after 3 days they slept together. She said she tried to connect with him, but it wasn't nearly as fun as with me and that she wasn't sure why she wanted to take a break from me in the first place. Now I consider myself 7 minutes 8 divided by 10. I am tall and work out semi-regularly. She assured me that it wasn't my looks. She said she wanted us to be together again and that she would do anything to earn back my trust and make me happy. The guy she slept with was 10 over 10 and a lot of muscle, although I didn't know him or anything about him. This happened yesterday. I am broken. I couldn't come up with words and just said it's going to be okay and later politely asked her to leave so I have time and space to think. I can't help but feel like a backup plan. She sacrificed our 4 years together and basically made me a fool for waiting for sex and thinking that I am something special for her. It bothers me so much that she was ready to smash some guy less than a week after we broke up. Even if we get back together, am I supposed to have sex with her now or what? I will provide more information if needed, but I'm really struggling for some advice on what to do. TLDR girlfriend wanted a break and during the break she lost her V-card. Now she wants to get back together. Update. Hey guys, first of all, thank you all so much for your responses. It really did affect me. So long story short, 3 days ago I broke up with her for good. Now you guys might not agree with the way I did it, but I did not want to have revenge sex with her, or hurt her ego, even though I am sad and disappointed. At the same time, I understand she wanted to see other options and I respect that she didn't outright cheat on me. That being said, I am also not a backup plan and I deserve to be someone's first plan. Someone that will make love with me and not consider it a godly gift to me. I didn't see her anymore and I finished it with a message. Here's a translated version. Hey, first of all, I don't want to hold you in suspense. So yes, this is my final breakup message. I took some days to think about it and I realized that if we did continue where we left off, that the other guy would be in my head nonstop and I would always be paranoid if you're doing it again when you get bored of me. I understand we were young when we started our relationship and that he wanted to explore other options and gain experience. Sadly, in that process, you lost my trust and hurt me greatly. I respect that you wanted to take a break instead of cheating on me, but that still doesn't make it justifiable. I wanted to thank you for all those years and I wanted to apologize for any wrongs I did to you. I want you to know that I am not mad or sad and that my head is in the right place. I hope that going forward you will be okay too and please don't punish yourself for what you did. Goodbye, Opus. The message was supposed to be stronger and I realized I am already getting over it and that I no longer see the point of putting more effort and thought into it. She replied with an equally long message saying she is sorry blah blah blah, so thank you guys for opening my eyes. If it weren't for you, I'm almost certain that I would accept her back. So yeah, until next time. Story 2. I wasn't sure where else to post about this situation. I occasionally browse through this sub and see other men post and I think the subject matter is relevant enough. Honestly, I just want to vent about it. It's a very recent event and one that was pretty traumatic for me at least. So here goes. I'd been dating a girl. We'll call her Cheyenne for 4 years, lived together for 2. We've had problems like every couple, but we've always worked through them. Cheyenne has some mental issues that she has dealt with since she was young. Anxiety, depression, and anger management problems. The latter issue was very straining on us. Whenever we got in fights, she would resort to screaming, verbal abuse, and occasionally physical violence. I'd been punched, shoved, and had things thrown at me on multiple occasions. I'd never spoken up about it before due to embarrassment. Despite everything, we still loved each other. She went to therapy and went on meds to help reconcile the issues we had. Things were good for a time. This past May, Cheyenne got extremely sick and got diagnosed with celiac disease. She was in and out of hospitals for weeks. I was there with her the whole time, caring and supporting her. She stopped taking her meds due to being so sick and never got back on them. Problems arose once more after she got better. We moved into a house with my brother. Things escalated rather quickly between Cheyenne and I, constant fighting and overall tension in the house. Eventually, we decided to take a break, focus on ourselves, but continue working on us. She planned a weekend with her cousin to go to Chicago. Didn't think much of it because she visits Chicago with her family every year. The Sunday she came home, she told me she had actually stayed in New York and stayed with a guy she was with before we got together. At that point, I felt extremely betrayed and ended things with her. We lived together cordially for a few months, but things gradually became worse and worse. I won't get into details, but things came to a head this past weekend. She finally moved out. We had been arguing about what was hers and what was mine in the house as she was moving out. Things escalated so badly that she attempted to steal my laptop for school and a few of my guitars. She was stomping around the house, swearing and screaming all while her family, my brother and myself, were in the house. She was erratic. Her dad finally intervened and told her to stop what she was doing. Cheyenne finally snapped and punched me as hard as she could in the neck in front of everybody. I was utterly shocked and heartbroken. My brother screamed and got in between us. Her parents scrambled, extremely disappointed, trying to de-escalate the situation. My brother threatened to call the police. He was screaming. I was screaming. Her parents were screaming. It was total pandemonium. They were begging us not to call the police. Her dad even resorted to saying something along the lines of, "You're really going to call the cops because a girl hit you?" It was extremely painful hearing him say that someone I considered a father-in-law. I told my brother to just forget it. We talked and everything calmed down slightly. They left and everything was quiet. My brother and I talked about it for a bit. After a lot of careful consideration, or at least I hope, I went to the police station and reported her. It was very hard and extremely embarrassing. The officer I reported the incident to looked at me as if I was joking. He was completely shocked that I came to the police about this. He asked me if I was just trying to get revenge and if I wasn't going to ever see her again. Why did I even bother reporting this? I was in complete shock. I told him I was just trying to do the right thing. He said something along the lines of, "Well, now this poor girl won't be able to get a job. Congratulations." I started crying and made a fool of myself right there in the station. He wrote up the report, told me an investigator would get in contact with me, and I left, completely shaken, heartbroken, and regretful. Did I do the right thing? Was I wrong about everything? Should I have just let this go? Is sexism to blame for the regret I'm feeling? I don't know. Thanks for reading if you did. Edit. Wow. I just got home from work and never expected this many responses. Thank you all so much for your kind words and affirmation. I'm almost overwhelmed with how much feedback I've been given, and thank you for those you gave me. The more unpopular opinions, it honestly gives me some good perspective. I'd be doing you all a disservice if I didn't clear up some details about this whole situation, and I hope this doesn't indicate that I'm justifying transactions. Here goes. I'm by no means a perfect person, nor was I a perfect boyfriend. I had done my fair share of hurtful things towards Cheyenne, as many couples do, whether they intended to do so or not. Now, I have never physically hurt her, nor have I verbally degraded her character or feelings. I, however, am guilty of neglect. A little over a year ago, I got admitted into a very prestigious school. I worked really hard to get into a program at this particular school and have worked my ass off since I started. Inevitably, most of my time and effort became devoted to my work. He was, and still is, my passion and something I'm proud of pursuing. However, I became blinded by ambition to pursue a career in something I care about to a fault I couldn't and wouldn't give Cheyenne the attention and care she needed. Do I think she expected too much? Sometimes, maybe, but I think at that point I should have ended things before things could get the way they are now. But I was insecure, selfish, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. Too many people in our lives? We were the all-American couple. We're both young, attractive, young adults with dreams and aspirations who supported each other, or so we thought. Behind all the romanticism that people conjured up about us was a seriously dysfunctional relationship, and one I hope I can learn from. I'm not exactly sure why I'm saying any of this, but it's there for you to decipher, I guess. Let me know what you come up with, because I sure as hell don't know what this means. I actually received a call from an investigator while I was at work, so I'll be calling her back tomorrow after class. I'll try to keep you updated as best I can, but I have a lot of work to do in preparation for my co-op. Thanks again to everyone who spared time to read my post means a lot. Cheers. Story 3X cheated on me and falsely accused me of rape, so I exposed her to everyone she knew. In late May 2016, I asked my crush of 3 years out on a coffee date. 3 dates later, we made things official for the next 7 months. Our relationship felt too good to be true. We clicked on so many interests, so we hardly ever disagreed on anything. We were very open with each other, which led to an incredible sex life. We both had good jobs, so we had money to support one another, and our families were both enthusiastic about our relationship. In January 2017, I was accepted into my country's Armed Forces Reserve program as a combat engineer. I underwent basic training from February to late April, and was up until then the hardest thing I had ever done. There were several times I thought I wouldn't graduate, and the only thing that kept me going was Kate's words of encouragement over texts and calls. She was there when I received my BTC certificate, and never let me forget how proud she was of me as part of my job in the reserves. I would have to go away in the summer for advanced training. Between early June to late August, Kate fully supported me going 400 kilometers away to the training center, and spending almost our entire summer break on work to further my military career. The summer was brutal on me. I was a social outcast from every clique that formed on our course, and was the butt of several jokes. My self-esteem plummeted through the floor, but Kate's belief in me was what made me prevail. I passed as 5th best on the decline. Things between us started to sour after returning home. According to her, I wasn't as spontaneous and outgoing as before I went away. I was dismissive, took small jabs and jokes as personal insults, and would rather stay and watch movies and have sex instead of going out. Unbeknownst to both of us, I had developed some nasty social anxiety due to the events of the summer, and it started affecting our relationship. Hearing our 2-year anniversary in 2018, we got into a heated argument over a small misunderstanding and subsequently broke up. I was incredibly distraught before she texted me 3 days later and said she wanted to try and fix things. I didn't see her for 3 weeks, but we kept in touch every day, slowly mending things. When we officially got back together, nothing felt the same. Every time I talked with her, it was as if I was walking on eggshells, and it only worsened my anxiety, which in turn hurt our already damaged relationship. Then things finally came to a head at the end of July, the hurt. While in school, Kate had met a John. She saw in John what she used to see in me, and they quickly became very close friends. He consoled her through our breakup, and every little time I messed up afterwards. For the record, I knew of John, but never thought Kate would ever do anything with him. One night after work, we had planned for me to stay the night at Kate's place. I arrived to see the two of them chilling on the living room couch. Kate said that John had dropped by for a spontaneous visit, and he was just leaving. After John left, she became cold and distant. I slowly accepted that our relationship was dead, and asked her how things were between us. She echoed my thoughts, and we agreed to break up the next day. She said I could stay the night one last time, seeing how it was late, and she still were full of me. From there on, until she fell asleep, Kate became uncharacteristically glued to and protective of her phone. In the past, she wouldn't care if I had glanced over to catch her and her friends texting about whatever, but now she did her best to hide the screen from me. I asked her about it, and she said it was private stuff, which only raised more questions. After she fell asleep, curiosity got the better of me. I unlocked her phone, and found hundreds of messages between her and John. Messages about how she was now single, how exciting it was that they could now be a couple in public, and laughing at me about every little thing I did. I quietly sobbed as I read through each hurtful text. My crying wasn't as quiet as I thought. Kate stirred, and once she realized what I was doing, she threw a fit. I couldn't find the anger or words to combat her, so I just grabbed my stuff and left with Kate shouting and yelling at me the whole time. It was late in the morning when I got home. I just broke down and ugly cried all night. I called in sick from work the next day and spent it sulking in my bed. The day after, I got several angry texts from Kate's friends and family in a bid to save her image and denounce anything I might say about her. She told anyone she knew that I had forced myself upon her that night, in one last attempt to get some before we broke up and left after the deed was done. Though what I had done was scarring, she refused to press charges because she didn't want to make a circus of her life in court and was the bigger person by doing so. I spent the next few months in fear that her allegation would have me discharged from the army and my image forever tarnished. But nothing ever happened. The revenge. 5 months afterwards, Kate 500 me after pleasantries, she basically apologized for the whole thing and actually admitted to faking it. Though she would never publicly admit it to save her own reputation, this angered me. But I kept cool. I screenshot the texts and continued talking with her over the next 3 months. She entered into a cycle of events as follows. Complain about a current life situation, usually about John screwing up in their relationship in one way or another, and asking for advice, lamenting our relationship, how I never screwed up like John did, how she wished we could go back to the way things were, blah blah blah. ignoring me because John finally pulled his head out of his ass, did some huge romantic gesture and saved their relationship. Going on a smear campaign on social media about our relationship, employing her friends for help, knowing in full that I would see it all and tried to bait me into an argument. It would work. She would try to turn the argument around and paint me as the bad guy and then block me for about a month before repeating the cycle. This happens 3 times like clockwork and always left me burnt out and broken, but a part of me wanted it to happen. Each time it did, I took screenshots of every damning thing she said. I had a full SD card of everything I compiled before I finally decided it was time, making several picture copies of the worst text messages I caught. I bought several manila envelopes and mailed them to everyone I thought would matter to Kate, her parents, grandparents, extended family. She was super close with best friends, work boss, coworkers, teachers, whoever I could find a mailing address for. I made sure that anyone getting the envelope would know that the texts were between me and Kate and sent them off. Within 3 weeks I got results. Some of the people who messaged me to shame and insult me before now apologized for their words. My favorite was from her own parents, who went on to say that they were deeply sorry about their daughter's behavior, how they raised her to be better than how she acted, and to please not pursue any legal actions. I told them I'd think about it and that they'd be the first to know besides Kate if I did. Kate sent me some texts as well with things like, "How could you betray my trust like that, or you ruined my life, you bastard." I didn't reply. I just read every angry text that flew in with a satisfied grin and then blocked her when they stopped. I never fully found out how badly her life was affected by my revenge, but I do know that she dropped out of school and no longer has a job. I hope John was worth it. TLDR girlfriend cheated on me and falsely accused me of rape to cover it up. I endured her crap for a year, gathering evidence against her via text messages and socially nuked her life. Edit. Thank you all so much for the kind words of support. A lot of people have been worrying about my mental state, so I thought I'd relieve those worries. I've been seeing a therapist for 3 months now and have made significant progress. I can't begin to explain how much I owe her for helping me regain some semblance of normalcy in my life. Story for what my wife did during our separation makes me want to make it permanent. My wife and I have been married for 6 years. We have no children. Last July, tensions were high between us. I'm an essential worker. I work the night shift and sleep during the day while she's at work. She was working from home due to COVID and was very loud. This kept waking me up and making me a very crabby person, so I was admittedly very short with her and she was not accommodating to me at all. As a result, the time we did have together was very tense between us. It's normally a very happy time, but we weren't able to enjoy it at all. We made the decision to do a trial separation, both go to therapy separately and try couples therapy. After a few months, as my company was frontline, they offered to put us up in a hotel so as not to risk our families. So I took advantage of this and moved out. I asked my wife for ground rules. My exact wording was, "so that I understand this. Are we seeing other people during this time?" She angrily replied, "If that's the first place your mind goes, then maybe it's not even worth it. I want to save our marriage, not give you an opportunity to go screw around." I apologized and assured her that I only wanted to understand where we stood. So over the past year, I've been in therapy. I talked to my boss and got my shift at work changed to the day shift because I realized that the night shift was really taking a toll on my mental health. I've learned to be firm, but open and communicative and not bottle things up. I honestly feel so much better about myself as a person. My wife and I started couples counseling at the beginning of this year, and it's been really great for us. We both were open about what was wrong, both recognized the faults that we had, and both committed to wanting to make things better. We made the decision for me to move back in next month and bring the separation to an end. During our most recent session, our counselor asked if I had completely broken off any relationships that I had during our separation. I replied, I didn't have any relationships during our separation. We established ground rules that this wasn't about having fun with other people. It was about getting better for our relationship to survive. My wife replied, we never established that as a ground rule. I quoted her words back to her and she responded, well, I was letting you know that shouldn't be your main focus. I mean, if you were just going to fool around with random women and not try to improve yourself, then there was no point in trying to save things. I responded, so you were using weasel words to have things both ways. Did you date anyone? She unashamedly stated that she had slept with 7 men during the past year, that it was perfectly allowed and I was free to be with someone else if I so chose. She stated that if I didn't want that, I should have clearly stated it. I countered that when I tried to broach it, she got angry and shut the subject down, and now she was trying to history. I told her at this point, I need to think if I want to move in again or even try anymore because it's clear that she treated the last year as a free pass to sleep around on me. She says that I need to grow up and get over it. I responded, see, that's where you're wrong. I don't need to do either of those things. I just need to get over you. And after today, I feel like that's going to be the easier thing to do. She insists that I'm in the wrong on this and that when you're separated, it's completely understood that you're free to see other people. Honestly, this behavior are the things that triggered me to blow up at her in the past. And the fact that it's still happening is just leading me to feel like I need to file for divorce and walk away. Am I making too much of this? I feel like I've made so much progress in therapy and I know she has too, but I just feel disgusted every time I look at her. I feel like she cheated on me and I get so angry. I don't know if there's any way to move forward with her. She keeps saying she did everything right and I need to stop trying to punish her because I didn't explore while I could. Would I be the worst person in the world for filing for divorce at this point? I feel like I'm too close to this situation now and can't think straight. What the hell do I even do at this point? I've been working for a year to fix my marriage and I thought she was too. Now I feel like we've been working on opposing teams. TLDR. My wife and I separated for a year in order to work on ourselves and our marriage. She stated that this was not to find outside partners, but slept with 7 men in a year and now claims we never established that as a rule. She wants to end the separation and I don't know if I want to after learning this update. I've gotten a few requests for updates and as much as I'm embarrassed over this whole thing, I think it helps to get it out. We're getting divorced. Shortly after the big revelation, our counselor asked to speak to me one-on-one. She told me, "You need to walk away for your own health. You've made so much progress and so many positive changes. This won't work unless you're both trying. And Tina is not trying. This can't all be on you because she'll keep dragging you back down." She told me that she was crossing a line by telling me what to do, but she literally could not sleep. After finishing up our session and seeing the look on my face when I thought about it, she's right. I've been using this time to become a better, more rounded person while my wife has been using it as a free pass to act like a teenager and has kept up the deceitful, gaslighting behaviors that plagued our marriage for far too long. When I told her it was over, she broke down sobbing. She begged me not to leave, told me that I could have a free pass to go do what I wanted to get even and swore that if I'd been clear, she never would have touched another man. I have to admit, I felt myself wanting to say yes because for a second, she was the woman I fell in love with again. But it was just a second that I knew would end and we'd be back to walking on eggshells and playing head games soon enough. I told her that we both deserve better than the people we have been to each other and the fact that she thought I wanted revenge and still blamed me for her actions told me that she hadn't learned to be better. She told me she'd do anything to make it work and asked what I wanted to see from her. I told her that I'd seen everything I needed from her and if she could only be better when divorce became a reality, then she hadn't made the progress I believed she had before that session. I served her with papers and am moving forward with the divorce. She's asked me to please resume counseling sessions, but I've refused. I know it's the right decision, but I feel very conflicted. There's something inside me that feels like I'm doing wrong, even though I know it's the only way I'll eventually be happy. TLDR counselor told me my wife is terrible and to walk away. I realize it's not just about being better, it's about refusing to accept less than I deserve. I filed for divorce and my soon-to-be ex-wife is in denial.